All right, here we have a portrait, kind of your standard corporate headshot, and I'm going to show you my steps and what I do to retouch a photo like this. So first thing we're going to do is deal with the white balance here. We have a little bit of a magenta shift we need to take care of. I know that just for my studio here, this is about what numbers work. Sometimes I will kind of eyeball this a little bit, but that's about where I start. I always add a little bit of contrast, and I'm just kind of doing this by eye, just the exposure to where we need to be. Okay, next thing we're going to do is grab the adjustment brush. We'll zoom in here, and we are going to grab the Iris Enhance preset and go ahead and a little bit of punch on the irises here. Good. Then we'll go down to teeth, make a new adjustment. We'll grab teeth whitening, and with the auto mask selected here, we are going to come across and just whiten the teeth a little bit. The setting on this adjustment preset is 60. I usually go down around 30. So there we go. Those are the two adjustments I typically do. Iris Enhance and teeth whitening. Now we can turn that off. The next thing that I will do is we'll grab the spot removal brush, and we'll just come in here, and any place there's any kind of blemishes on the face that we want to get rid of, do those quickly with a spot healing brush. Here it has selected a little bit of eyebrow where we don't really want it. And also the settings here, I have it on heal, and I'm at 100%. And here's a spot that we want to move. Most of the time this will pick a good sample area, but not always. And this one we're going to come down in here a little bit to try to, well, maybe up here, try to match the sort of skin texture of where we want to go to. All right. So that's good. Okay, another thing I do with the spot removal brush is I will soften wrinkles, especially around eyes. For guys, I don't do this as much as I do for women, but sometimes, just depending on how the lights are, if they really catch these wrinkles and really make them stand out, I will soften them a little bit. So the way I do that with this adjustment brush is I'll make it the size I need to cover this, and I'm just going to draw over this whole area, cover all these wrinkles. And then I'm going to try to find a place. It's tough here because we have glasses we're dealing with. But if we come up here, we might be able to find a place where we have skin that is going to match well enough to do what we need to do. So, okay, so here we have the spot healing brush, but that obviously took the wrinkle completely away and kind of makes it look weird. So now we're going to bring the opacity of this down to, I don't know, somewhere around 30. Sometimes you can get away with a little bit more. I find right around 30, 35 to be about the right amount for most fixes. And then we'll go ahead and just do that for the other eye too. Here we don't want to run into that shadow of the glasses, so I'm just going to leave it. And we'll sample from up here. I think that'll work. And same thing here, like 33%. Now if we turn that off, we can kind of see what we got. So if we turn this off, we can see what difference that makes. Really softens that up without making it completely disappear. So now I feel like I might have a little bit too much there. So we'll go back to where we started. We'll go back to 30. And I'll turn those off, kind of see before and after. To turn it off, I'm clicking the little on-off switch at the spot removal brush panel here. Okay, so now we're good. We have Iris Enhance, teeth whitening, spot removal, and last thing that I'm going to do in Photoshop. So we're going to do Command E to edit this in our external editor, and we're going to do two things in Photoshop. We're going to first I'm going to show you how I deal with hair flyaways. There's not really any here much, but I'll show you the method that I use. I'm going to add a new layer on top, and I'm going to grab the stamp tool, and I have it set to current and below, and I'm just going to sample, hold down Option, click, out here. Because this background is sort of very much out of focus, you can really easily get away with kind of clone stamping around here without it looking like you did anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm stamping, and then I'm just with a kind of soft edge brush just drawing over the edge of the hairline, not being real careful, because you don't really need to be, because we're going to come back and fix that in a second. All right, so if you have somebody that's got a lot of hair flyaways, I'll do that, draw around, and then I'm going to add a mask to this layer, and then with my brush tool I'm going to come in here with black selected and just kind of draw out the line along the edge there. And depending on the person, depending on how much the hairs are flying away out the edges, you can kind of use a softer, harder edge brush. So there's before and after. Like if you look right around on the right side here, you can see these couple little hairs we got, took those away. And we probably could do a little bit more with that, like maybe right along here. Now we'll grab our brush back on the mask. So now I'm feeling like maybe right up in here we're a little soft on that edge. So we'll come back and maybe turn the hardness up on this brush, make the brush a little bit smaller, and then just come in and get a little bit sharper edge on there. And there we go. Okay, last thing is if you have shiny spots, we're going to add a new layer. We're going to grab the brush tool, and we're going to change the blend mode of the brush tool to darken, and you're going to sample a nearby skin tone. We can make this brush nice and big, and we're just going to paint over these areas where we have that glare, right? A little bit on the end of the nose here, a little bit, and then we're just going to take this layer and we're just going to turn the opacity down to like 40, whatever works. It differs depending on how much shine you have, but there you can see it just softens that shine up, and I probably have that a little bit too much because there's not a lot there, but this can be really handy when you have somebody that's got a lot of shine on their skin. It's a nice way to just take that out. So there's the original, and there's with a little bit removed. So, all right, now that we're done here, we're going to save. Once we save, it will save the file back into Lightroom. Last thing we're going to do is crop this a little bit. So that's how we do it. So there we go. So we started with iris enhance, and then we did some teeth whitening, softened these wrinkles under the eyes with the spot removal tool. And then after we did that, we took it into Photoshop, worked with the flyaways a little bit around the edge with the hair, and then toned down the glare a little bit with the brush tool, just with the blend mode set to darken, and then bring it back here, crop it. The reason I don't crop it before Photoshop is that gives me a little bit more space around the hair to sample from. If you crop it first, then you're right up against the edges when you're sampling, and you don't have as much leeway. And that's another reason sometimes when I'm taking a picture of somebody that has a lot of flyaways around the edge of their hair, I'll shoot a little bit wide on purpose just to give me some space to sample from to fix that. So there we go. That is how I retouch a photo. And I have a preset made for my export window here. I can just show you that while we're here. I have a preset made, and that is going to send it right to the folder it needs to go to. I have it set to rename according to the title of the photo. So if we leave the develop module here and go back into the library view, you can see this in title I put the name in, and that way when I go to export, I have this set to use that field to name the photo. That way the photo has the name of the person that it's in. Then I click export. Sometimes I will set this to show in Finder so that when I export it just pops up when it's done. That's not how I have the preset set up, but whatever. I have resize to fit 800. Another thing, if your photo is not already let's see, if the aspect ratio is not already 2:3 or 4:6, that's what I will set the crop tool to when I crop this in, because that is the ratio that we need for the badges and for the website. So if that's set to 2x3, 4x6, and then you frame it like you want it, then we'll be good. So there we go. That's it.